Good day to all of you attending the Western Cape Agri Conference. And firstly, my deepest apologies that I couldn't be there. I really wanted to be with all of you today, but unfortunately the cabinet induction process is taking place and it has been made compulsory. So I'm really sorry I'm not there with you, but I certainly am there with all of you today in spirit. I'm really excited to have taken over as the Minister of Agriculture in South Africa. Many people have asked the obvious question, is this a portfolio that you wanted, or is it a portfolio that you were given? And I can say quite unequivocally, this is a portfolio that I chose. And I chose it for a number of reasons, mainly because this is an incredible sector to work with. Our farmers and farm workers in South Africa are the best in the world. There's no more resilient sector in South Africa, and there are no greater people to work with than all of you in the agricultural sector. And I'm really excited about what lies ahead for agriculture and also for our country. At a macro political level, the Government of National Unity that has been formed after the last elections has given South Africa renewed hope for the future, that we can get off the path of low growth, high debt, and high unemployment, and onto a new path of inclusive growth, a growing economy, and poverty alleviation with more opportunity for more South Africans. I see the agricultural sector as central to this great South African renewal. There is no sector in South Africa that has more opportunity for us to grow than this sector. Looking at the Q1 of 2024, it is once again agriculture that has held up the GDP and ensured that our country went forward. 6% year-on-year growth and 27% growth from the last quarter. And that's all thanks to the incredible work done by our farmers and our farm workers all over the country. Who wouldn't want to be working with all of you as we build this new path forward for South Africa? I'm also excited because I believe there are a number of opportunities within the department to be able to set out very clearly what we can do and achieve together over the next 5 years. I've been very clear since my appointment on a number of the key priorities that I have for the sector. And first and foremost amongst those is building strong partnerships and connections with the entire sector. This sector is built on relationships. It is built on partnerships. So whether it's with small producer farmers to large-scale commercial super farmers and everything in between, the Department of Agriculture wants to work with you to grow the sector. I have, over the course of the last few weeks, been attending a number of organized agricultures, congresses and events, as well as hosting a number of the key role players in my offices in Pretoria. It has been wonderful to sit around the same table and listen to the hopes, dreams, aspirations and plans of these industry bodies to grow their particular sectors. And I want to work together with them so that those sectors can achieve their objectives and that the department can do what it can to ensure that those sectors thrive, flourish, and grow. The second thing I've said very clearly is that I want to make biosecurity a key focus of the department over the next 5 years. Biosecurity is very important, and biosecurity is everybody's responsibility, from the farmer on the one side of the value chain to the exporter on the other side of the value chain. We have to do more to promote greater and better plant and animal health in South Africa, and it's going to require a whole of industry approach if we are to achieve it. Biosecurity is everybody's responsibility. Why the focus on biosecurity? Well, I fundamentally believe that if we can improve plant health in South Africa, show very clearly that we are fighting animal diseases, I believe that we will be able to go with greater confidence into export markets, expanding existing agreements and looking for new countries. And I want South African products, whether they are animal products or whether they are plant products, to be synonymous with the best biosecurity in the world. I believe that fundamentally working together, we can massively improve biosecurity across South Africa, and that will benefit not only the farmers, who will be able to achieve greater prices for their goods, but also access to international markets, which are so fundamentally important to the value chains in South Africa. Thirdly, I fundamentally believe that we need to focus on uplifting and supporting farmers wherever they may be. So whether that's the departmental support for small farmers that are just starting out, or the support required for the big super farms, the department needs to be there to be able to assist and to tailor its assistance to suit those particular differences within the sector. So whether you're a small farmer or whether you're a large commercial farmer, I want you to know that the minister and the department are on your side as we go forward. I also believe that we do need to modernize and update the legislative environment that currently governs the agriculture sector in South Africa. Many of the laws that have been governing the sector for many years date back far, far, far into the past. Some laws as far back as 1947. I believe that by updating and modernizing the legislative and regulatory framework, we can bring agriculture and agricultural legislation into the modern era. That will enable us to take advantage of new technologies, new opportunities across the sector to be able to improve yields, improve crop qualities, and improve animal health across South Africa. That I need your assistance with if we're able to achieve it. We will be tabling a number of amendments as well as new pieces of legislation which we believe will be fundamental. I also believe that it is important that we protect and preserve our agricultural land and soils in South Africa. The sector is under huge pressure from developers, from miners, from industrialists to move onto the land. The reality is that once good quality agricultural land is gone, it is gone forever. I can't find any example in the world where housing developments have been bulldozed away or mines shut and closed in order to make sure that agriculture can prevail. And yet, the right to food and food security is entrenched in our Bill of Rights. We need to protect our agricultural land. And it does concern me, particularly in the Western Cape, that some incredibly important farmland is currently under threat with the potential for mining exploration. It is that land that we need to feed our nation. It is that land that we need to grow the important agricultural products and livestock that we were able to build on our export markets. We need to work together to protect and preserve agricultural land across South Africa and to make sure that it is not subject to arbitrary mining applications and things that would damage the long-term sustainability of it. I also believe that there are more modern ways in which we could be providing assistance to our farmers and farm workers across the country. I believe that there is huge scope to use modern technology to be able to provide real-time live support for farmers, whether they be small-scale farmers or whether they be large-scale farmers. And we'll be working together with the department to be able to ensure that that can take place. I also fundamentally believe that we need to introduce once and for all a comprehensive and full tracking and tracing mechanism for all livestock in South Africa. This is important not only from a biosecurity perspective, but it was also coming on from pressure from our export markets and local feedlots and consumers to have a clear farm-to-fork policy so that you are able to track where your meat has come from right back to the very farm where it was first produced on. I believe that a track and trace system would also assist in combating the scourge of stock theft across the country. The movement of animals wherever that may be in the country, should be subject to verification to make sure that people transporting animals have the correct papers in place to ensure that those succeed. I also am committed to opening new markets for South African agricultural products. Just this week, I had a meeting with the Secretary of Agriculture in the United States of America, Secretary Vilsack, and we had a very constructive discussion about how we can expand on the existing AGOA agreement. We also look for those new markets where South African products are not currently available, but where I believe we can find fertile ground for trade with those countries. A key focus is going to be on advancing and tailoring our trade outreach package to ensure that we are able to reach many, many more markets than ever before. I also will be focusing on disaster management. The Western Cape has recently seen some terrible flooding in the 𝗔𝗴𝗿𝘀 area and other parts of the province that has dramatically affected the ability of those farmers to produce. We need to be able to be more responsive as departments to ensure that we can step in and assist in areas where disasters occur. We cannot simply leave this to COGTA alone. It often takes up to a year for the National COGTA Department to declare a state of disaster in a particular area. And what we need to do is make sure that the Department of Agriculture has its own disaster management plan in place to deal with agriculture departments. And then working with provincial administrations. Agriculture, as I've already said, and the sector is going to require a whole-of-society approach if we are to proceed and to grow together. That means that provincial administrations and provincial MECs of agriculture will have to work very closely with the National Department of Agriculture to ensure that we have a coordinated and coherent plan to be able to grow the economy, create jobs, and grow the sector. I'm going to already have hosted my first MINMEC meeting, and I'm going to keep those meetings going so that we do have a more coordinated approach to dealing with agriculture. Finally, whilst I know that many of the issues that beset this particular sector don't necessarily fall under agriculture, they have a marked knock-on effect on the viability of the sector. Things like transport, things like rail, things like roads, things like our ports and harbors, and yes, things like rural safety may fall under departments that are not necessarily within the ambit of agriculture. But I want to give you all the assurance that around the cabinet table, agriculture will have the loudest voice in making sure that the impact that those various portfolios have on our sector are heard loud and clear, and that we are able to work constructively within the government of national unity to make sure that we can grow the sector. I'm excited about what lies ahead. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you on your farms and in the meetings, and you're always welcome at Agriculture House in Pretoria and our offices in Cape Town. We look forward to partnering with you as we go forth to make agriculture the greatest sector in South Africa. Thank you for what you are doing on a daily basis, not only to feed our nation, but to help to grow our economy, create jobs, and build a better future. Let's grow.